Alright, so D-BT03 has been out in Japan for about a day now, and so of course it's the third booster set for Overdress. We did a first impressions of this set as well, which you can check out on the channel if you want to know what I think of the general like high rarity cards as well as the low rarity, like the good cards of the lower rarities. But of course, every new set release has its prices and its market price, and just like we did last set, I wanted to take a look at sort of like the market trends and the price trends of the cards for this set and take a look at what's expensive, what's surprisingly expensive, and what's surprisingly cheap between the high rarity cards as well as the low rarities, because there are some low rarity cards that are pretty expensive too. So we're going to be taking a look at 5 different card shops in Japan that actually have online stores, and basically just kind of look at the price trends, see, you know, what's already out of stock in just a day, you know, what kind of stuff is more expensive, which of the SPs are expensive, and stuff like that, so you guys know the general quality of this set. So without any further ado, let's take a look at what we have. Alright, so here we go. We have the first shop we're going to take a look at is, of course, going to be the Grand Panda Canyon, so Gurapan. So Gurapan, they usually have pretty low prices, which is very nice, and also for SPs, you can see they're pretty damn nice. So unfortunately though, their stock isn't too crazy good, and so some stuff is already out of stock. We can see the most expensive triple rare pretty consistently so far has been Verena Expecta at just about 10 bucks. The Eugene triple, even though it's amazing, is about $1, and Greedon here is $5, so that's kind of like the trend we're going for. Greedon is pretty cheap considering how decent it is from just the first set. For the other triples, we have, of course, Derek, as well as the Gravidia Neldlinger, as well as the Distiered. So Gravidia as well as Derek are both $5 each. Distiered is about $4. Then we have Ragrail at $2. The like Hexorb one is 5, which is pretty, like, a bit more than expected. Flagberg being 6, it's a main grade 3, so I'm not too surprised. And then the Zorga, the busted Zorga triple rare, is $2, which is pretty surprising. Then here, this price for Himena is pretty undercut, which is why it's out of stock. But the the stealth, the Shinobi Dragon, is about $3. I think it's a very good card, very nice generic defensive that I do like a lot. Ashurda, $1. This guy is really bad, it's just $1. The Regina's pretty cheap. She's a very good card, but only $1 as well. The Incan for Greedon is about 1, Prison Support about 1, the Gravidia grade 2, the defensive one is about $2. So general trends you can kind of see, these definitely do carry over to the other sites as well in terms of prices. For some reason, this Prison Support that swaps your opponent's stuff is 3, Ease Rod is 1, which I think is pretty surprising because it's a really good card. This thing I can get, he's not that great. Persona Ride Searcher for Hexorb is only 1. Then this, the Restander for Mr. Flagberg, is $2. This thing is $1 as expected. This thing as well. So those are the like high rarity cards. As you can see, everything is pretty cheap. But then you'll notice that in this shop, they sold the criticals, the effect criticals, for 50 cents, and they're all gone. Literally all of them are gone. And so I think this shop isn't very like good to see the lower rarity cards, because they are actually all out of stock, and they kind of undercut. They didn't undercut the market, I think they just didn't expect them to be so expensive. Because if we look at any other shop, such as Immunity Dream here, you'll notice if we look at the rare and common slots, that the rare critical triggers are quite expensive. So you can see here, they have the Dragon Empire one for $4. Every other rare is like 30 cents, $4 for the critical, $3 for the Dark States one. Pandemonium only 30 cents, which is pretty cheap. Brancate one is $5 here. Keter one is $4. Stoichea one, I think, down here is $5, so it's pretty expensive. But then stuff like the New Order for Orpheus is pretty cheap, and so quite a lot of cards that aren't the critical are still pretty affordable, so it's nice to see. But there's one common that is more expensive than any other and harder to find than any other, and there's only one shop that I've seen so far that has it in stock, which is of course the Meteor that you need like 12 to 16 times. So here they sell it for $2. Every other common is like 10 cents, 20 cents, $2 for the Meteor, and it's impossible to find. It's out of stock everywhere. Other shops sold it for 80 cents, 50 cents, like $1.50, but out of stock everywhere except for this store. In SP they go for about $10, which is okay. This common is also like out of stock everywhere, which is kind of interesting. But of course, we look at the triple rares and double rares from Amenity. You can see, like, the pattern is kind of similar. Here, the Hex Orb triple is much less, and actually quite a few of the other ones, like, this is $5 in the other store, here it's 4. This is 80 cents for the Eugene triple, but then the Expect is a little bit more. Flagberg, I think, is a bit more cheap here as well, but then the Zorga triple is a bit more. Sorry, not Flagberg, the Ragrail is a bit more as well. So some prices are a bit different. You can see this is the real price of Himena. It's about $5 to $6. So $6 for Himena is, you know, pretty cool to see, because it is, like, a lot of people in Japan have been hyping it up as a really good card, because this will only get better in the future as they keep releasing more overdressed cards, which does make sense. Like, I don't know how good it is, because it's a CB, you know, that you have to commit to search it, which you'd rather use on like Arcs, or you'd rather use on like Nirvana and things like that. And Urger can only, you know, countercharge so much, right? But here we also see that, like, you know, the Ease Rod Angel is a bit more expensive. So pretty interesting, like, market patterns in general that we see across the stores. We can also take a look at the SPs and DSRs, so you see which ones are the more expensive ones. For DSRs, of course, they're always about $150. We can see the store has 3 of these Seraph Snow ones, which is pretty surprising. Of course, Expecta is the most expensive one at $45. Himena is a little bit pricey as well. We can see that. Flagberg a little bit pricey. Orphist one is like 15, which is an okay price. Like, most of the good triples have a price tag that's pretty respectable. Also, the Greedon is $23 or so, which is nice to see. And then apart from that, the most expensive criticals, the most expensive SPs outside of that are the criticals that go from like $23 to $30, like between $20 and $30 for an SP. The Rock SPs are like $10, which is also pretty respectable. So yeah, of course, the criticals being the most expensive, not the most expensive SPs, but some of the most expensive SPs, is not too surprising, because of course everyone wants them, right? Let's take a look at Yuyute, one of the more popular card shops. They usually have their prices much higher as well. You can see by like Ragrails at $4, you know, although their Flagberg is a bit cheaper than other stores though, right? So some stuff is cheaper, some stuff is more expensive. Himena here is only $4 compared to the like almost $6 that we saw from Amenity. So it's a little bit different, but in general you can see like the prices are pretty consistent across the stores. But of course the other consistency is $4, $5 critical triggers, you know, for all the nations. But these, you know, these stores do have them in stock quite a bit, because they know how important they are. And then of course the rocks being out of stock is also pretty consistent across the stores, because it is a you know, pretty necessary common in many copies. And also of course the hollows, there's no hollow rocks, which doesn't help either. They only come in they only come in common and SP, which is also kind of funny, right? So take a look at some other stores. We have Card Rush here. Card Rush is a pretty big store in Japan as well, and so here you can see the prices are pretty similar again. Like, we basically have like a bunch of the, like, you know, the Stokia ones at like $4, the Hexorb support at $4, Orphis support at $4, these at $5 again. As always, Expected is the only one that breaks the $10 mark for a triple rare from all of these, because Verena is, you know, main character and stuff like that. And of course here we see the rares. The rares here, you can see, are the critical. Like, look how much stock they have. 164 copies of the criticals, right? They have a lot. The price tag is a little bit higher, but they are stocked up. Like, these shops are stocked up on the rares that they know are going to be going for, you know, a pretty penny, and also the ones that are going to be sought after, right? They're definitely sought after, right? But of course, they don't have stock of the Meteor, because I guess nobody expected the Meteor to be that popular. And then finally we have Dragonstar. There's another shop that sometimes they're cheaper, sometimes they're more expensive. You can see, I think this is the most expensive, or one of the most expensive Expectas I've seen, and also the Eugene triple breaking the $1 mark. It's kind of funny as well. So yeah, this is pretty nice to see so far. And then a lot of SPs they already have sold out, which is pretty cool, in that their Expector SP is really expensive, so that's a bit unfortunate. But you can see a lot of stuff is already sold out. Like, some stores have some things more expensive or cheaper than the others, and so you kind of just like go ahead and compare and like see what comes out cheaper. Their Himenas were $3 and they're out of stock, so you can see this was a bit of an undercut. This being 30 yen doesn't surprise me. It's genuinely like not a very good card. Same, I mean, this in premium is right now, and unless it gets hit, is very good. This being $1.80, I think it's a pretty good price. We definitely pick it up for that price. So yeah, that basically gives you an impression. Of course, the crits here are out of stock too. Their stock is not that high. But this is basically like what the market trends are like in Japan right now for set 3 of the release weekend. These prices will change, of course, over the coming weeks, you know, as the set progresses, as the meta develops. People are still testing and experimenting, and so it's a lot of like early prices that develop over time. So yeah, that's an early look at the set 3, the D-BT03 price tags. I think overall, you know, the set is pretty cheap. Overall, like most things are quite cheap. It feels like we have this pattern of like every set has like a rare slot that is like pretty expensive. Set 1 we had PGs, you know, that were like $5, $4. Set 2 we had the fronts, which were like $2, $3, $4. And now in this set we have the criticals that will again be like the rare that's more expensive and will make you happy for opening many boxes because you will pull a lot of them and be happy with your stock, I guess. So yeah, that was a quick look at the prices for D-BT03. Hopefully you guys got something out of this so you know what kind of price to expect when we get these cards in English, because usually most of these prices did carry over into English when we actually got the set 2 in English, but of course we still have basically like 2 months and a half, or like 2 months and a week or so until, or 2 months and 2 weeks, I guess, until we get this set in English. So then it might reflect more on the meta trends and less on the first prices, because we didn't have much of a break between the Japanese and English release of set 2. So yeah, that's basically it for today. If you liked the video, please do give it a like, and of course if you like the content, please do subscribe if you haven't already, because it does help the channel a lot. But other than that, it's gonna be it for me today. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.